Of the
Golden Truth.
sorry Golden Truth podcast. We're going to be discussing free agency, new possible location in Virginia for the Washington Commanders, and also for the first time ever on the Golden Truth podcast, we'll be discussing soccer, how Russia and Ukraine war has affected it. That's up next on the Golden Truth podcast. Let's play that intro. Yo, you really need to stop learning to kill the intro, yo. I could hear your giggle.
I'm sorry, but I like the intro so much, man. It's like the best intro in podcasting.
But anyways, yo, what is up, y'all? Oscar, your host of the Golden Truth podcast with my co-host Aaron Faxon.
Yo.
Man, we really need to work on our intro skills. But still trying to play the intro also and trying to get the cold open out there. But Aaron, how you doing?
Not too bad,
stall
bad.
for a second. Discuss your podcast here for a second. I forgot to do something before we went live, and that is fix my lighting. So while I fix my lighting, introduce yourself.
So in the next episode of the podcast, originally I had planned to do a review for Cirque d'Italia, but I wanted to give it an extra week for things to die down a little bit, and we're going to end up talking about the Ukraine situation a little bit, and we're going to get away from the more, like, I try to give more of a fun vibe usually, but it's hard to ignore the situation, and I think that it's something that just needs to be addressed directly. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, but I'm not going to offend anybody. I feel like in this situation, there's people's lives are at stake, and you have to kind of provide a corded ambiance to that. That's what I'm going to talk about this Sunday at 10. If you guys can hop on by, I would be glad, very, very glad to have your presence there. If not, watch the replays. Still cool with me, because we are, after all, a melting pot. That's an analogy that has always been used to describe America as a whole, and we have to be able to listen to each other's opinions and come together in a respectful way and basically say, this is my opinion, this is your opinion. Not a problem. Just because you have your opinion doesn't make it any more or less valid than anybody else's. So, Faxman's Musings, and also go to the Faxman's Musings page on Facebook. And if you have any topics or anything that you would like to see or hear covered in the podcast, please, por favor, please let me know. Because, everyone's ideas wholeheartedly deserve to be shared. And you never know. Maybe we'll talk about the whole thing with the Washington Stadium thing as well. Because having been somebody in my situation who spent time in Woodbridge and in Dumfries, I really believe that I really fervently believe that there are some steps that are not being taken in this process And there are a lot of everyday average residents that are going to be affected by this new stadium. So we're going to go into detail a bit more on that today, and I'm going to talk about it a bit in my podcast simply because I want to put more of a personal spin on it and explain my situation, why I do or do not agree with the proposed sites. So that having been said, I really do hope you come and join, because this is your chance to muse with me. We're going to explore new ideas and new perspectives together, because that is what we do. We come together as human beings and we think about things in different ways and broaden our horizons. That, like, life is too short not to broaden your horizons as much as possible. So yeah.
But alrighty, y'all. Thanks, Aaron, for stalling.
For
again.
Stalin? Or would you joke?
Yeah, of course you would.
Yeah, of course I would.
But
Don't like it too much, Oscar.
Ugh. But this is what's coming up for this episode. Like I said in the cold intro or outro, whatever they call that. This is what's coming up on the docket. Obviously, we're going to be discussing the new stadium location. Potentially, or some more free agency discussions with free agency and the combine coming up. We are, I think, today's the 1st, March 1st. So I think free agency, if I'm not mistaken, starts March 17th. So, unfortunately, because the Golden Truth is on Tuesdays, we will not be able to do a Golden Truth on that day, because obviously it's a Thursday and I cannot. I can do recordings, I can do videos on free agency, but I won't be able to do a live stream until the following Tuesday. So, stay tuned for that. Combine, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I know it's soon. Maybe it's next week.
Let me see if Alexa knows. Alexa, when is the NFL Scouting Combine?
The NFL Scouting Combine began on February 26, 2019 and ended on March 4th, 2019.
Of course,
Alexa,
do that to you.
When is the 2022 NFL Scouting Combine?
Here's something I found on the web. According to fansided.com, one of the key early events of the offseason is the NFL Scouting Combine, held from February 23rd to 29th in Indianapolis.
Apparently, it started on the 23rd.
Yeah, but that's the 23rd or 29th. There is no 29th this year.
Alexa, stop.
But it should be soon. It should be next week. If it's not, then it would be stupid for them to do a combine literally a week out before the new league year starts. But like I stated, free agency, combine, things like that. But let's kick off this episode with discussing the new potential stadium location. Obviously, FedEx Field, rundown FedEx Field. They do have that lease until 2027, I think is what I read. But I honestly think that they either got to fix it or try to move it up sooner. And that, I think, moving stadiums sooner is going to be easier said than done. So they just got to renovate it for the time being. But the 3 stadium locations, and Aaron, I want to get your thoughts on each one. So the first one is going to be, from what I saw, is going to be close in Sterling, Virginia, close to the team's training facility in, I think it's Ashburn. Yeah, Ashburn or Loudoun County, whatever. Loudoun County, Virginia. It's going to be close to Dulles Airport, so that's going to be the first location. The next one that they're thinking of is in Woodbridge. off Telegraph Road, I guess, which I don't know. I don't think is a good idea because we live in Hoodbridge. Well, I live in Hoodbridge. Aaron used to
I
live in
did.
Hoodbridge. But the third location, which is a little bit more higher end, and it's actually a new neighborhood, and I've been there. It's actually pretty nice. They're pretty nice houses, pretty big houses. And I think it would be interesting, to have a stadium in Woodbridge and to have the Commanders in Woodbridge is going to be interesting. But apparently, DC and Maryland want it, but it's looking like Virginia is the front runner. Aaron, what are your thoughts on each of the stadiums? Which one do you think would fit the best? And out of those three, which one are guaranteed? Or am I delusional and are they just going to stick with Maryland and DC?
Okay, so I'm going to preface this by saying apparently it's not just a stadium. Apparently what they're trying to do here is a multi-million-dollar project. What they want to do is make something called Commander's Village. If they were to build it in Dumfries or in Woodbridge, they want to build something called Commander's Village, which has nightlife, residences, training facilities, and a stadium, along with various shops and concessions and what have you, which means the place wherever this is built is going to have a huge amount of land set aside for specifically this purpose. When Sterling, I think if we look at it from an economic standpoint,
yeah, go ahead.
Sterling and Loudoun County may be the area that is helped most by the stadium. I think that looking at Woodbridge and Dumfries, while it would be interesting, I don't know if it's going to have the best. They want to be good community partners, and they've put a big emphasis on that. But I for people who currently already live there, it's going to do maybe more harm than good. When they were talking about the Woodbridge location and they were talking about the apartment buildings that it would go next to and the wood line they would have to cut down to do it, it made me wonder, and maybe I should do more research on this, but whenever a new building or whenever new zoning happens for parks or for businesses, there's a possibility of doing what is known as an environmental impact study. And basically what it allows for is looking at things economically and from a routine standpoint of people who live there. Will it cause more traffic for them to be able to get to work or to school or doing various things in their daily routines?
I mean, from what I read, now one of the Woodbridge locations, I know for a fact it's off of I-95.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get off the highway, it's going to be there. Now the thing with the Loudoun location is that so Washington would have their because their training facility is there.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a benefit to them. Now,
I think
raise your hand here who wants to go to Loudoun. I don't go to Loudoun. Like when I had to go to school for there, like for that, like I had to go to school in that area. I'm like what the, like there is no public transport. Like at least as much crap and that we give FedEx Field, at least there was like a metro option for those that want to do the metro. And again, we live in Hoodbridge. Public transit here sucks either way. I literally I'm going to school tomorrow and I'm trying to figure out the best way to get there on public transit. And then getting out of Woodbridge and Prince William County sucks. So I feel like that would be like the negatives of doing it in Virginia, but there also are positives. Number one, the community outreach, dude, and I don't want to, make it about the NFB or the National Federation of the Blind, but imagine what the Prince William County chapter would do with the Washington Commanders, like down the road.
So the thing that I would be worried about is and I can tell you this from a personal
No,
perspective because my
no.
younger sister Deanne,
No joke.
no joke, my younger sister.
Ugh, you're so boring.
Oh, well, I'm the joke. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. Now, okay, my younger sister, she lives in Prince William, like dead in the center. And if you think, like, I almost think that it would drive poverty rates up to have that stadium there, because it would drive the prices so much more up. Like the cost of living would go up so much higher to live in that area where the stadium is. You could have a lot of people defaulting on rents and things like that. I think in Loudoun County, it is just like, even though, and with their training facility nearby, I think it's just small enough where it could be there and actually stimulate the economy in that area without causing poverty to go up.
Yeah. What about the Potomac? Because the place is called, I think it's like Potomac Shores or something. I've been in that vicinity, like I've been in that area, and it's actually pretty nice. Now, it's an up and coming neighborhood in Dumfries, no less.
And this is the same point that I've made before. These houses in and of themselves are already expensive, but you're trying to fill these apartments knowing that the stadium's going to be nearby. That's going to cause a light bulb to go off in the heads of all these landlords to basically say, oh, we can charge more for people to live here now that the Washington Commanders are going to be nearby, and people aren't going to be able to afford to live there.
I mean, I feel like from what I'm hearing is that they're trying to make that up and coming neighborhood, and they're also looking to put hotels and things like that, so that way anyone that wants to travel down here, has the hotel close to the stadium, so on and so forth. But I mean, hey, I honestly don't think, it's a pipe dream for me, but I don't. And here's the the bad thing for me is that I'm probably moving, out of this area anyway. So like me having a dream going to the new stadium, if it's here in Woodbridge, is not going to happen anytime soon if I'm moving soon. So like, and I'm moving out of the state potentially. So I don't know.
Well, like I said before, if there was a way to have the Commanders be a part of the community and help the economy and not cause poverty to go up, I would say that you could at that point make arguments for Dumfries or Woodbridge and say these are the perfect locations. But when I lived, I lived, the area that I used to live in Dumfries was called Wyndham Point, and it was right near where Leesylvania State Park is, and a lot of that area is going to be seeing traffic going back and forth. It's going to be like Fredericksburg's Route 17 is on steroids.
Yeah,
and it's going to cause
you had to.
Yeah, I hacked it all. I hacked and I coughed it all. But no, I mean, I don't want to be like the downer, because I do think that if they could be good company partners, I actually think that the charitable giving that would be going on in that area would fly exponentially, especially when you consider players who are trying to get the Walter Payton Man of the Year award at the end of every year. You're going to have a lot more community activists in the area. And if this were able to happen, I think there's going to be an even like the need is going to go at some point. The need for community giving like that is going to go far beyond what the organization is able to give.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to be a downer, But
no, I don't think it's gonna happen, especially with I don't care. Like, I know it's probably not gonna happen. I honestly think that it's gonna either be maybe in Virginia, but I say at best, I think Loudon should be the front runner, or is going to be the front runner. Even though people are gonna be like, "What the heck? Why am I going to?"
the economy needs it. The Loudoun County economy needs it. That's the only place that I think the economy is going to need it in that area.
Yeah, but we'll see. But well, before we close this topic, what do you give the percentage of each spot?
I say, and are we including a fourth choice with them renovating and keeping FedEx Field?
I honestly don't think that's happening.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say Woodbridge is maybe 15%. I'm going to say Dumfries is 25%, and I'm going to say Loudon is 60%.
Okay, I get that.
It's the biggest caveat here is that when you look at each of these three locations and how their society function, how their area functions, without there being like tourist attractions in those areas, which, let's face it, Woodbridge is the only area that you could argue has tourist attractions there. Woodbridge does not need it out of the three. The one place that I think needs it because it will stimulate the economy is Loudoun County.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll wait and see. Apparently, I honestly, unless I hear construction happening tomorrow, which is not gonna happen. We'll have to. I give it 5 years more at FedEx Field.
It's always amazing because people would dog on the Washington team having their stadium in Maryland instead of in DC or Virginia.
Yeah. But I guess to close this off, or to close this segment, Loudoun County is the potential landing spot in our opinion, or most likely in our opinion. So let's get into some free agency talk. And before we talk about wide receivers and tight ends, I'm not going to discuss running back because Ron Rivera, I honestly don't think he is going to go after a big name running back if he already has, and I think you and I discussed this off stream. He already has Antonio Gibson, who's trying to be developed into a running back because he's a wide receiver converted into a running back. He has Jarrett Patterson. I honestly don't think that going after a veteran is going to help, especially if
the giant middle finger to those two.
Yeah. So I honestly think that maybe Ron Rivera should draft a running back in either in the later rounds. I say second or third round. Get a running back.
Leaning more towards third, to be honest.
More towards third? Okay.
Yeah, leaning more towards third.
But let's discuss some more QB rumors right now. So I saw yesterday that, and I guess I should be better at listening to other people's podcasts or other, reporters' podcasts. But John Keim, Washington's is, he's stating that Washington has a high interest in Mitchell Trubisky and in Teddy Bridgewater. Aaron, what are your thoughts on those two guys? Do you think that that's likely? And what other and what percentage do you give either of those two?
Okay, there is a big thing. If you've ever heard of, there's an old law term called normative versus positive.
Yeah,
the way things are versus the way they should be. That's how I'm going to analyze this, because when I look at these two quarterbacks, it's what should Washington do versus what they will do. Washington has a trend to try to go after veterans. That makes me think that they're going to go after Teddy Bridgewater. However, I think that they have a good chance with Mitchell Trubisky if they can develop him a little more. So I think, personally, that I give Washington maybe a 20% chance of going after Trubisky, and then 80, and between those two, like an 80% chance of going after Bridgewater.
Now, from what I hear is that Ron Rivera loves Mitchell Trubisky. So I honestly think that Mitchell Trubisky is going to be a little bit higher on that list, especially if they're saying that Ron Rivera and Scott Turner can run those RPOs that Mitchell Trubisky can do so well. I mean, I don't care for either of the two. Teddy Bridgewater, he has not been the same since his torn ACL.
Yeah, it's true.
So I honestly wouldn't want him at all because he's not that impressive. Mr. Trubisky, he does have 2 postseason appearances to his credit, but he didn't. He doesn't.
He
amaze
flopped
me
on both
either.
of them.
He doesn't amaze me either. He's a game manager.
Why won't they just have him running gadget plays, like use Mitchell Trubisky like you would use a Taysom Hill?
Yeah.
You could keep somebody like Heineke in the starting lineup and just have him running gadget plays with Trubisky.
I mean, I feel like we'll see. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, 4 years in Chicago for a number 2 overall pick in Chicago, like that didn't end too well. Well,
he was not built for Chicago's offense. I think when he was like, I think whoever decided to create the offense for Trubisky in Chicago that year, the years he was there, didn't like. This is the thing: you have to get to know your players and get to know, like, especially for a position like quarterback, you have to know what situation they play in best, and then try to modify based on that. I think that with Trubisky, Chicago it wasn't the right system for him, to me, and I think that's why people are wanting to sort of recapture a little bit of that same play style, and that's why they're so big on bringing on Justin Fields right now. Oscar? Well, I guess until I hear him, I will keep talking. Justin Fields, he's sort of a run. He is a run, kind of a run first quarterback. Like, he does keep his eyes downfield, but so yeah, he does keep his eyes downfield, but he needs a bit more training as far as his instincts are concerned in making good decisions. I think that if he were to be able to do that, and then of course have they had OJ Howard, so they had an okay running back, but they needed somebody to balance him out. I think that's what Chicago's main problem was. I really hope that Oscar didn't get kicked out. Anyway, Bridgewater, and as you said, has not been the same since his torn ACL, but he really could, if you really wanted to bring him into another organization, you really could have him being a mentoring role, like I said, like Rex Grossman was for RG3 and Kirk Cousins their first years there. Nowadays,
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess I got kicked out of the stream for some reason.
That's what I was thinking too, and I just kind of kept rambling a little bit.
No. Like, I was discussing it. Like, I was saying something about Mr. Trubisky, and then when I don't hear you say anything on my end, but then I kept on, you were calling my name on the YouTube. I was able to hear you, but for some reason I don't know why. I guess my Wi-Fi is kind of spotty.
That's okay. So continue what you were saying before you got kicked out.
I forgot what I was saying, to be honest.
We were talking about how Mitchell we were talking about Mitchell Trubisky and how much Ron Rivera loves him, and I was saying that you could take if you kept Heineke in, you could have him running gadget plays with Trubisky and use him the same way Taysom Hill would. And then I mentioned a point about how Chicago, since Trubisky, like they've been trying to capture the heyday of Trubisky for a long time, but they're trying to capture it with Justin Fields, not Trubisky himself.
I mean, this past rookie class, not impressive.
No, not at all. The only person that actually, to be honest, the only person that I was really impressed by, oh gosh, who was the rookie quarterback that the Jets had? Really strong arm, huh?
Zach Wilson.
Thank you, Zach Wilson. Yes, he has a ridiculously strong arm, but he's accurate too.
Okay.
Zach Wilson was who I was most impressed with out of that rookie class. I mean, Travis Mills, Trey Lance, Justin Fields,
Yeah. If Mitchell Trubisky is the starter, that's what I was saying. I got my thought back. If Mitchell Trubisky is our starter or comes here, expect Washington to spend a first-round draft pick on a quarterback.
Maybe to have somebody learn from him.
What can you learn from Mitchell Trubisky? I mean, he learned from Josh Allen, so
you could learn what not to do.
True.
This is like his whole career is a giant pitfall. Don't do what he's doing. Do the opposite, and you'll be okay.
Man, so you know what I'm annoyed by? So I have this website uploaded on my Braille display.
Yeah.
And it was working before the stream, but now it's freezing up.
Have you tried hitting the F5 key to refresh it?
No, I'm on my I have my Braille Note Touch.
I don't know what shortcut keys the Braille Note uses.
Oh, come on.
Wish I had to give my Victor stream back at the time, but I kind of wish I had one again.
Let me see if I can refresh it. Anyway, I did see some free agents, and obviously we're going to be discussing about your boy Mike Williams too. But the first guy, I mean, Washington does need a wide receiver. I mean, Curtis Samuel. He was supposed to be the complementary to Terry McLaurin,
yeah,
but it didn't work out that way. He got injured off and on, so I feel like that's Paul Richardson 2.0. Mm-hmm. I think Washington should shop for a new wide receiver, and obviously, if my thing can refresh properly, we can run down the list. But first on the list that I saw is what's this guy's name? Allen Robinson. Do you think Allen Robinson would come here? Would it be a good idea? Why or not?
Let me introduce to you 3.0. I think he'd get hurt too.
Oh, that is true.
I think he'd get hurt too.
Yeah.
I think he is. Oh gosh, you need the speed with a little physicality. He's got no physicality. I think one big hit, especially like as competitive as the NFC East is, he's going to be taking some big shots. You need to have guys who can take big shots in the East. McLaurin is surprisingly tough for his size.
Yeah, he's like my size.
Yeah, I'm just imagining you on the field taking a big hit from like a 300-pounder.
Wow, you give me no credit. You're wow.
Helmet to helmet. So that's how he went blind.
Oh, you.
Oh gosh, it's so great. No.
You know what? Show's over.
Speak up, speak up. I can't hear you. Speak up. You got kicked out again. I'm just kidding.
Wait, you can't hear?
No, I can't. I was making another joke.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
I said, Oscar, you got kicked out again. What's going on?
Anyway, I mean, if only this thing could refresh properly. And no, do not suggest pouring a drink on it.
How about kicking it or like elbowing it like the Fonz does to the jukebox? Hey.
Oh. Okay.
Seriously, just elbow it and say, "Hey," maybe it'll come back on.
Let me see the name of the website, because I just emailed it to myself and I clicked the link and it went to Chrome. So if I can open up in Firefox, that would be great.
By the way, did you check out that other website I told you about, the full NFL HD?
Oh, before we continue on our little banter, shout out to Fight for Old DC, who says sup, and we need a new stadium ASAP. Yeah, I agree. FedEx Field is breaking down. Almost killed Jalen Hurts and almost killed other civilians.
You just refer to Jalen Hurts as a civilian. That says a lot about what you think of his playability.
He can't throw.
He can barely run. Like he has bad instincts.
Yeah.
I give him another year.
I mean, the Eagles are in Deshaun Watson trade discussion. I mean, who's not in Deshaun Watson trade?
I'd still love to see him, and I would love to see him go to Denver, personally. I think the Deshaun Watson.
Now you decide to work.
The Jerry Jeudy Deshaun Watson hookup could be dangerous.
But let me see.
Deshaun Watson's mobility opens things up for receivers to.
Note to self.
He throws them open.
Come on. Load.
Who you calling a load? I'm just kidding.
You know what? I really don't know what to say anymore.
Oh my gosh, he's finally speechless. Oh!
All right, you know what? You were talking about Mike Williams. Talk about Mike Williams while I try to figure this out.
I think that he could be, seeing as how like you see how long he spent in San Diego that became LA. One thing that people will realize about him is that he is a very loyal player, a very loyal and very durable player. I think if Washington were to snatch him up, they would have somebody the level of a Santana Moss with him. Santana Moss, for the longest time, when you thought of Washington, you thought of Santana Moss. Santana Moss was to Washington what Jerry Rice was to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I could see that being the case where if looking back on Mike Williams' career, he doesn't leave organizations easily. Teams want to keep him around because he's just that kind of a player where he could be a locker room leader along with the original captains. I could see Mike Williams being somebody who can produce on the field and off the field. I could see him being very durable and being a veteran presence for that wide receiver room. If you've got somebody like him changing the culture of what it means to be a Commanders receiver, you're going to see results. No pun intended. But you are going to see results if they were to grab Mike Williams. And don't be surprised if LA tries to snatch him right back, because I would too.
All right. Let me address some people in the chat. Fight for Old DC says, I guess back to the stadium discussion here for a brief second, because I do want to address people in the chat. Will the stadium be indoors or outdoors though? That is actually a good question.
The stadium, I think, is going to be outdoors, but what you're going to have is on the outskirts of the stadium, like, you know how you have back behind the bleachers, you have all those indoor areas where it's concessions and gift shops and things. You're going to have all that, plus you're going to have hotels and residences. So it's going to be a big complex, I think, with an open door model in the middle where the stadium is supposed to be.
Would you have a retractable roof?
I think so, yes. That's what I think it's going to be, because when I was watching videos on what the plans were for the stadium, it looked very much like Commander's Village was surrounding the stadium on the outside, and then you had the stadium on the inside. I think they're literally trying to build a whole like Commander's style community simply out of this stadium.
Yeah.
Which again, that is why I made the point, because you don't find the area that they're proposing for in Loudoun County, you don't find very much to do in that area, and that's why it could stimulate the economy in that area.
Yeah. Shout out to Jason Alamio, who's in the chat, and he'll be in here soon, who says, Oscar Slowtech reminds me of Washington. Jason Alamio, shut the hell up, man. Like,
friends.
You know that you have a Braille note yourself. You're an owner of the Braille Note Touch. You know that sometimes Chrome is very slow on this thing.
You might say monochromatic.
Oh, of course you would, Aaron.
Art joke. I am not looking forward to tomorrow. Just saying.
But you know what? Oh, come on. Of course, the website won't load on the Braille Note Touch. You know what gets in the way? So I don't know why. And Jason, let me know, because you're a Braille Note Touch user yourself. Ever since I've gotten the Braille Note Touch and on Chrome, when you're on websites, like there are ads that load, and you can't get rid. I don't know how to get rid of them. Like, I can't get rid of them, and that's what gets in the way. And sometimes it refreshes the page when I'm reading something, and it refreshes the page or it freezes the page. That's the problem that I'm having. Is that like I literally saw Allen Robinson on the free agency list, but it didn't move, and then it froze because there was an ad loading, and then it refreshed, and now it won't go back. Awkward silence.
Well, what silence isn't awkward? Awkward silence number 2. I'm intrigued by the prospect of I'm intrigued by the prospect of, like, I wish I could fit myself in the heads of Washington front office people right now, because I'm curious where their priorities are in terms of acquiring players, whether they want to go more from the draft or whether they want to go more from free agency, because every year has been different for Washington. Some years they focus on drafting, and some years they focus on free agency.
Well, Ron Rivera. Let's take. Well, this is a good time kill discussion here. While I wait for this page to load on Firefox. I mean, last year, so his first move was to bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Whoops. That was bad. Then he brought in Curtis Samuel. At the time, it was a good move, but after a year, you're like, what? Like that was just a waste of money. William Jackson. Now I feel like the jury's still out on him because at the beginning of the season, he was just getting burnt. Like he was getting burned and getting burned bad. Like guys were running past him. He was only good for drawing pass interference penalties. I was like, man, why did Washington get this dude? But then as the season went on, I don't know if it was a change of scheme or I don't know what, but he ended up getting better, and then he got hurt. I think he had an ankle injury or something, and then Washington secondary was just even more trash after that. So those are the top signings off the top of my head. Now you also have the minor signings like bringing Adam Humphries, which I guess is okay. He brought in DeAndre Carter, who balled out the season. Who else did he bring in?
Had his breakout season.
Yeah, exactly. Who else?
I think you could make an argument that even though this is only the second or third year for McLaurin, that this was his best season yet.
Yeah, agreed.
So the other interesting thing that I'm thinking about with this too is I'm seeing a trend when it comes to NFL teams, and it's not about the schemes don't necessarily cater to the players, but more of the skill players in a team are actually having higher more say in who comes into the team. And I'll give you there's two big examples here and they're both elite quarterbacks. Like when Brady first went to Tampa, it seemed like
hold on, Aaron. Before you continue, Jason Alamio, if you ain't gonna help, don't comment.
What did he say?
He said that's what you should have written it in the Microsoft document. Less issues.
Well, there's that. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, that's a YouTube thing. That's not a me thing. I see more teams taking the starting quarterback into advisement when it comes to which players to go after. When Green Bay was taking demands from Aaron Rodgers so that he wouldn't go to another team, Aaron Rodgers basically said, I want you to get me Randall Cobb and bring him back. And that's what they did. Last year when Brady came back, when Brady was it 2 years ago when Brady went to Tampa, Gronkowski was set to retire. And then Brady talked to Bruce Arians and the staff and said, I want Gronkowski back. He's somebody that I'm comfortable with. They brought him back. I can see it being a situation where starting quarterbacks make the call for which players they want to work with simply out of history and comfortability with them, not necessarily that they're good or not. It's about being, as far as wide receivers go, it's about which starting quarterbacks are more comfortable with you than just general talent. Thoughts, concerns?
No.
I see that as a trend. I really do. I honestly I can see it being a trend where starting quarterbacks are able to pick and choose. Not everybody, but they can communicate to the staff and to the coaching staff and say, I want this guy. I feel like he would work well with me. and they would sign him.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're gonna have a free agency frenzy next week, Aaron, because obviously it ain't working.
I guess so.
I'll probably see if I can copy that link into Firefox, because I find it hard. Like when it comes to Chrome, that's the problem that I have with Chrome on my touch, is that like it freezes up and there's ads, but when it's on Firefox, it moves perfectly. But since I can't copy and paste, I'm just gonna see if I can get the website and then just type it in Chrome. So we're gonna do free agency frenzy next week, y'all. So aside from any more quarterback talk, we're gonna be doing wide receivers. Aaron, do you think Washington should improve on their offensive line or not? Because I think that they're fine there. I mean, they were an improvement, and they were actually pretty decent this past year. And then obviously we're going to be doing linebacker, because I think their front seven is fine. They just need to get more linebacker help, maybe a little bit more cornerback help, and free safety help. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, because and this I'm going to throw something out there for you, but there is a certain gentleman by the name of Jesse Bates who was on the Super Bowl winning Bengals team, and there are talks that Cincinnati might not want to keep him. That is somebody that Washington could use and convert him over to free safety if they wanted to, because he is a very skilled player. So something to look out for. Jesse Bates, Cincinnati.
all right. I mean, I don't see him coming here.
I don't either, but I'm saying, like, if Cincinnati doesn't keep him, and it gets close to the free agency deadline, he may take the long shot.
Yeah, I don't know, but we're gonna do free agency frenzy next week and the week following.
Sounds good.
Oh, great.
What do you say in the chat this time?
No, it was just a message.
Oh, pop-ups. Gotcha.
Oh, that's the word, buffering. It buffers. That's not.
Sort of like whenever you're around Mark at the NFP meetings, you need a buffer.
Yo.
I'm a loose cannon, bro. It's a good thing you doesn't watch this podcast.
Yeah, liven it up a little bit.
Yeah, really. Oh, that's brilliant. Lord help us all.
But I mean, that's like we're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be addressing more free agents next week. Again, it just it was working fine off, before we went live. The Chrome page was, but then I was able to move around, but then I don't know what happened when I was going live.
You're probably using so much bandwidth in your place.
Probably.
I'm surprised you haven't done like Ethernet over power yet, where you could have your internet signal run congruently with your electricity.
I would have to move the modem to my room, untangle a bunch of crap, make sure I get some space in my room, which I currently do not have.
No, I get it. It's a tedious logistical nightmare there. I get it. Much like most conversations with me. Hey-o!
But all right, y'all. So this is what's coming up, and we're gonna preview it because we actually do have Jason Almeida coming on. I did text him a few moments ago stating that to be backstage. But for the first time, well, I was gonna say for the first time, and hopefully it's not gonna be the last time. We're gonna be discussing soccer, or I guess if you're in the UK or Europe, I guess soccer is the real football to y'all. I guess. Aaron, do you want to chime in?
Looking at it from like a language standpoint, if you were to call soccer would be called football, and then what we know as football was called football americana. So it's kind of but anyways, as far as the comment on the situation we're going to be talking about, it's just Oscar said it best at the beginning of the episode, where it's how has the situation with Russia and Ukraine affected European soccer, and of course I'm very intrigued to hear from Jason. When it
soccer being affected by would you call it a war? Would you call it a battle? Because not, the other countries aren't even like they're supporting Ukraine, but
there's a bit of transference that I see here, and I'm going to make this argument, and I'm going to see what you guys think. There are parts of Ukraine that have been that were always considered to be a part of Russia, simply because of their heritage and the language they speak. With this being the case, when Russia came a-calling, a lot of them didn't really fight it. They just kind of let it happen. And I kind of saw a bit of transference between this and when Germany invaded Austria-Hungary in World War II. And the reason why I mention this too is because a lot of Austria was already considered to be German, so they basically just let Hitler and the Nazis fall through and take over, because they're like, we're because of our heritage, we're already a part of Germany anyways. Not much is going to change if we just let them come on in and take over. But as far as I don't know if I would call it a war. I think I would maybe call it I'd say it's a battle. Because I feel like with where Ukraine is at, I don't think they have the resources to be able to defend themselves adequately. And in a war, both sides are going to get their licks in, and I don't think Ukraine has a chance to really do that.
But we're going to be discussing that, how it's affecting the stock world. So I do want to warn y'all, Jason does have his own political podcast, and he tends to get fired up when it comes to politics. So
he's passionate.
Just be warned that this could get a little explicit.
He's passionate, and I respect that.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Wow, no more comments. But let me see if I can.
You want me to try to text him?
I texted him just. All right.
I heard that phone ring.
No. Yeah, I just got a message stating that.
That he's backstage. Jason, and I don't mean Derulo.
I mean, while we wait, we can switch it over a little bit to more Washington, because I pulled up the wide receiver thing on my phone. So you said Allen Robinson's a no-go. Mike Williams will be a best fit. Do you see maybe Devontae Adams coming here?
Not at all. And I'm going to tell you why. This is the same situation that I talked about with Randall Cobb and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has become way too comfortable with Devontae Adams to let him go. For the Packers to let him go. That's a big long shot. A big long shot. Like I'd give that like 2% maybe. You'd have a better chance of Peyton Manning coming out of retirement and playing for Washington.
Well, I guess probably wait for Jason. And I meant to do a video on the whole entire Ukraine-Russia situation. I guess I can get my segment out there, and then obviously I'll get your thoughts once Jason comes in. This is the way I see it. I understand, and this is from a neutral perspective. I understand why the countries like Poland and Switzerland, Sweden, teams like them are saying, hey, we don't want to play Russia. But here's the thing: you got to separate the political from the soccer. Now, if outright the soccer team and the players on the soccer team are saying something outlandish, then yeah, I'll understand. But ever since this whole entire war, since the invasion has actually been a thing, I have not seen Russian players agreeing with the move. I haven't heard reporters put words in their mouth saying, "Oh yeah, we agree with Putin" and things like that. So I feel like disqualifying the country's sports teams is unjust. But I understand because because Poland and the countries themselves have more loyalty, and they want to show solidarity towards Ukraine.
I think this is the only way for them to show solidarity, to be honest. Like I think these countries and the people involved have looked at every scenario possible, and maybe in their mind the only way they can show solidarity to Ukraine is to take this action. Maybe this is their last resort. And I feel like this is a case of the one ruining it for the many. Russia and its armies are following Putin's orders. But how do you punish one man?
Yeah. But Jason, are you good?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good to see you, bud.
What up, Aaron?
Everything above my eyes.
Oh, well, there's things below your eyes too.
Yeah, but I disregard those.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding.
There's something between your legs too. I don't know. If you
Oh
know.
gosh, we're not gonna go there. Nobody.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you know. Oscar's my mic good?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, General. I'm sorry for being so slow, like Oscar's technology, but my mom was coming home and I didn't want her to like yell my name on your stream, and I have to leave over and over.
No,
And so if you don't mind, I'm gonna eat a little on your stream, but also I have
That's what I'm doing too.
I
Look at this.
know you're eating.
Look at this.
But I also have my Mexican Coke.
Look at this.
Come on, open up, you son of a bitch.
Yo, we are already into explicit territory.
Oops. God damn it.
I went to this place called Hammerknocker's Barbecue that's near my house, and I got this wrap called the garnet and gold wrap, and it's got pulled pork, it's got mac and cheese and gold sauce in it, and I got a bag of chips along with it. So your boy's pretty set.
Oh my god, that sounds perfect. I got a burrito from Pollo Loco.
You should go.
You guys have that over there too?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Moe's account, like the Moe's app on your phone?
Oh no, he doesn't have a Moe's.
Well, if you can find one, they give you free burritos and chips and salsa on your birthday.
Man, dude, we already been through this with a good friend of ours. Moe's and Chipotle are not allowed to be mentioned on our channels.
Look, Chipotle stinks because they charge extra for guac and queso.
They also are not very good.
Chipotle is like heartburn, but in a burrito.
Chipotle is everything wrong with the world.
Basically.
Hmm?
But while Jason eats his dinner,
I was actually listening to your guys' things. I was wondering if I could respond to some of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
And then I'll finish off and I'll finish off my thoughts because I do want to talk about.
Well, finish off your thoughts and then I'll get into it.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. But I mean, that's the way I see it. You know, I understand why, but why? Like, and don't give me the they banned Yugoslavia in 1992 because of political stance. They banned what was the other team? I think it was South Africa. South Africa. I can't remember what World Cup that was, but I understood. From what I understand, South Africa was banned for a good minute. Now, maybe banning, because here's how ridiculous this thing was going to go. They weren't going to be so. FIFA and UEFA, which is the European company that does all the European tournaments there, were saying, all right, Russia, you're not banned, but you can't be called Russia. You're going to be called the Union Federation of Russia. It was something weird.
It was the Football Union of Russia.
There you go. Like, I was like, what?
Not only that, but then they also were like, you can't have your anthem or your flag.
Yeah, like I don't agree with that. Like, if you're gonna ban them, just say you're banned. If you're not gonna ban them, say okay, you're good. Like, don't like that is not acceptable. Now on the whole entire Chelsea owner, oh my god, I always Roman Abramovich situation. Look, I don't know what they meant by stewardship or whatever because I tried to look into it and
day-to-day operations, like any day-to-day decisions that would normally be made on a team perspective, has been given to the charity foundation of Chelsea.
Yeah, but here's the thing: at the end of the day, on paper, he's still the owner. That's the
argument that's the argument that was made, is that even though the day-to-day operations are still in favor of the charitable organization, he's still making the money, and that's why his assets were frozen.
But I feel like the media is also like playing way too into it because like. Just because, so I remember on one of the reports, they were like, by the way, when he stepped away, all he just said was Chelsea, 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 and there was no mention of Russia, no mention of Ukraine, and teams and FIFA are gonna threaten to take him away unless he publicly calls out Putin for condemning Putin. I'm like, really?
Before this happened.
So let me get this. So let me get this straight. Let's put an example, right? And I'm going to use Jason as an example, and he can defend himself here in a few minutes. Like,
yeah,
say,
of course, I'm not naive.
Say, oh man, Jason, you just threw me off. I forgot what I was about to say.
Good.
Oh, now I got my thought. Now I got my thoughts. Say Jason, Aaron and I are at war with each other for somewhat odd reason.
I would win.
And Jason is the owner of, and Jason's caught in the middle. I would not ban Jason from coming onto my channel. Like, I would not ban. Like, why would I ban Jason if he were to say, well, I don't condemn Aaron's action. Like, I condemn Aaron's action. No, like, if he is for Putin, that's for him to say. Like, keep the politics out of it. Like, he's the owner of a sports team.
See,
Like-
I feel like this is the Kaepernick situation all over again. I mean, no offense to, like, I'm not trying to devalue what's going on in the Ukraine or anything, but it really goes to the question: should, like, if you're doing a job like playing soccer in this case, should it stay separate from things that affect personal situations of people, like what's going on in the Ukraine?
Well, here's a.
Go ahead.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
All I'm saying is it's always like the separation of church and state thing. Are church and state really ever truly separate? And in this case, are the personal and professional really truly separate? Can you do your job effectively knowing what's going on from a personal standpoint? But good, say what you're gonna say.
Well, I guess I'll start getting my thoughts here. Wait, hold on. Mexican Coke.
Maybe you want some more tata or something.
Oh, dude, Mexican Coke's the best. So I'll respond in this way to Oscar. No, exactly. You're right. I mean, the guy, owner of Shopshirovich, is he's just an owner of a sports team, and my thoughts here are. I'll explain exactly what's going on in Ukraine for your viewers because I feel like the media is lying to you. Of course, they're a-holes. They're corrupt. So banning the athletes, what do the athletes have to do with this? You're going to support your country no matter what, number one. Number two, I don't see any players from Chelsea, any players from Russia involved in the day-to-day operations of Vladimir Putin. And his government. They are soccer players. They're kind of like the sports players out here, really, who just see what's going on in the news and okay. So banning Russia from sports, yeah, it could cripple their home economies because no one's going to want to play against Russia. Poland said, "Oh, we won't play against Russia because we ain't want to deal with them," and they're going to be led into the playoffs. And whoever wins against the Czech Republic and Sweden, they'll get to play Poland. So Poland just goes straight into the playoffs. I think y'all are wimps because you don't want to lose to Russia. First off,
I think there's the same thing that could happen in the summer too, because one of the clips we watched also said that in the summer there's the women's tournaments that are going to be going on in England, and possibility that any of these teams could be drawn against Russia and they could easily just decide, no, we're not going to play them. My thing of it is we're not kids here. It's like, there's no reason not to think that some Russian players have immigrated to other countries and are playing on their teams because they feel at home in those countries. You going to demonize them as well?
Well, that's what's happening in the NHL. There's a player that just came out against Alex Ovechkin, one of the best players in the NHL, who plays for the Washington Capitals. F you, man, you beat my Knights. Anyway,
I forgot that they played.
This is a classic situation of the one ruining it for the many, and the fact of the matter is, people think they need to show solidarity because they can't say to prove themselves.
But here's the thing, like I told Oscar. Well, actually, I'll respond to you too, Aaron, when you said that Poland allowed Germany in because they were like, well, we're
Austria, not Poland.
Austria, I'm sorry. Austria allowed Germany in because they were kind of already German. Yeah, that's right. However, what they could not project, because they thought, oh, it's just going to be regular old Germany like we've been used to. However, what they could not predict was, oh, God, it's the Nazi party. Because they completely changed the order. They put in curfews. They forced you to do slave labor. They made you hail Hitler, right? And it was different.
It's the same difference between the Soviet Union and Russia versus the anti-Tsarist movement in Germany.
Mm-hmm. So now here's here's my take on this. So I'm the political nerd, which is why Oscar brought me on, I think. So,
Sorry, it's just the way you said it. I love it. I love the way you said that.
you know, yeah, it happens. So what's really going on in Ukraine? So let me put on my politics hat, be it the headphones. So what's going on in Ukraine is this. So I'm gonna take it back a little bit, a little history for the barbecue loving.
I'm a history buff, so
Yeah.
no, that's
So you
me.
know that in 2010 they had a president who was a democratically elected president. He moves up the elections because he says, hey, if you want to vote me out of office, go ahead and vote me out of office. If you want to keep me here, go ahead and keep me here. The United States, under Joe Biden, our current president, and Obama, the president that everyone loves. Oh my God, I miss Obama, even though he didn't improve any of your lives. They did a coup. What they did was they had two guys that were going to be either a Russian boxer or a billionaire investor type tycoon who would be a U.S. puppet. And then what would happen is, so they got the coup they did a coup in 2014. They got the Azov battalion, which is like a part of the Ukrainian military that are neo-Nazis, to shell their own people. They don't tell you this in the media, that there's so much shelling and bombing. Yeah, Russia's doing some of it, but guess what? The Azov battalion is bombing these people, their own people, the rebels. So when it's the Ukrainian government and the Azov battalion bombing these people, they are called Russian separatists who are being bombed. Oh, so it's okay, folks. They're Russian separatists.
So it's guilt by association. It's guilt by association on Russia's part, being associated with the
right, but
rebels.
it's the hypocrisy of how everyone is talking, because they are rebels in the Donbass area, specifically in Donetsk and the Luhansk, and basically they were being killed. 81.4% of the people that have died are in Donetsk and the Luhansk in the Donbass region, and 25% of those people were civilians. But they just keep bombing them. They keep shelling them with bullets and missiles and all kinds of crap. So the Ukrainian government is doing this. And then what's going on is they actually had a Minsk agreement in 2014 that basically said, look, if you can stop the bombing, stop the shelling, stop the bloodshed, the violence, and the murders, hold elections so that, the rebels can have their own people and the government and all that, hold elections, then it'll all be peaceful. Nobody has to die. Everything's fine. Russia agreed to it. Guess who else agreed to it? The United States. You know who else?
The Ukraine.
So Ukraine agrees to this, and then they don't actually do it. They're still killing their own people in the Donbass region. And by the way, a lot of them are Russian. So in Eastern Ukraine, you have, I think it is like a third, like 2/3 of people that are Russian native, and they consider themselves Russian/Ukrainian and more on the side of Russia. And they actually speak the language. So they're native. Whereas if you go to like the southern western part of Ukraine, they're not anti-Russian. They're a lot of them are, but they're not a lot of them Russian natives.
What was the name of the group that was bombing?
Starving them, the ones in Donetsk and Luhansk in the Donbass. Remember, in the 1930s, Stalin was starving the crap out of them, so they had to move to that region. So they've been there for generations.
What was the name of the group that's from the Ukraine that's bombing their own people? I'm sorry, I'm just trying.
The Azov Battalion.
The Azov Battalion.
Yeah, and it's from the Ukrainian government. And by the way, you said, "Oh my God, the Ukrainians don't have any resources to defend themselves." This is why I'm the political nerd. That's absolutely false. The media wants you to think that. Oh my God, poor Ukraine! Holy crap! Joe Biden just approved $200 million for Raytheon to send over missiles and grenades and rockets and guns and bullets and all kinds of crap all the way to Ukraine. There are literally boxes of missiles sitting in the Ukrainian government right now. So it's not like, Hamas in Israel, in Palestine, who doesn't really he has certain weapons, but Israel is still bombing Palestine, still pushing them out of the West Bank. That's a whole other thing. And Israel's given weapons through their Iron Dome program, and we fund it. So we're funding Ukraine. It's not like oh, well, you go to Ukraine and there's only one missile. No, they have so many missiles.
It's the same thing with Europe. Back when America was first colonized, we were funding all of Britain and France's wars.
Well, because their military, I mean, ours was small, but their militaries were not ready for World War II. Germany had advanced so far. That's why we had the Lend-Lease Act. And that's why I think it was 1940. Yeah, 1940, where Roosevelt won because, he won on two things. One, your boys are not going to that war. And every woman and everybody was like, yay. That's how he talked. However, he also ran on, we need to keep funding the British. This day will live in infamy.
Tear down your wall, Mr. Gorbachev.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. That's my best Reagan impression. But they're so they're not telling you any of what I just said. You know that they're bombing. They have their resources. The Azov Battalion was funded by the United States to go and do their coup and then do their fighting for them. So they didn't agree to the peace agreement. They didn't follow through with the elections and to stop bombing and the shelling and all of that. Putin waited for 8 years. 8 years. And finally he said, all right, I got to go in. I got to go in because those people are considered kind of sort of Russians. So I'm going to go in. Now, remember, when the Ukrainian government was bombing them, they're Russian separatists. They're okay. They don't matter. Now that Russia goes in, now they're Russians. Or now they're Ukrainians. Everybody's Ukraine. Oh, kumbaya, Ukraine. And what's going on too is they want to make A, Ukraine enter the European Union, but B, enter NATO. Well, what they don't want is Russia don't want Ukraine to go into NATO. NATO was made so that they could stop the Soviet Union. Well, guess what? Many people are arguing maybe we should have gotten rid of NATO after 1990, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. When Serbia, when Ukraine, when all those countries all became their own countries. And Crimea and all of them. And the other thing, too, is the reason they don't want that. There's a couple reasons. A, economic policy, and they don't want it to do that. There's two reasons. There's two main reasons why they don't want them going into NATO. Number one, James Baker, 1990, who was the Secretary of State for George H.W. Bush, so senior. But basically, Jim Baker said, "Hey, we're not going to expand 1 inch east of Germany to the Soviet Union." Mikhail Gorbachev, he told him, "Hey, we're not going to expand."
There was an edict. I can't remember what that was called. Wasn't that part of the Treaty of Versailles that they couldn't expand past Germany?
I think so. And the Treaty of Versailles would also, it kind of aligns with the IMF treaty. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the comments, if you know any of this. But so they said, we're not going to go east of Germany. Well, Clinton didn't do it. Well, he did a teeny little bit. I break the rules. I break them Hillary all the time.
I break the rules all the time, man.
I break the rules all the time. I break her back. I break her back all the time. Anyway, but then George W. Bush starts invading like hell. He just invaded. Where I spoke to a higher power.
He said that I must invade.
He said I must invade. It's how George Bush talked, and he goes and invades or just expands the crap out of NATO all the way east of Germany. Obama comes in, does the same thing. Trump comes in, does the same thing. Biden comes in, and look. So that's the first reason. So Jim Baker says, hey, we're not going to expand 1 inch east of Germany.
So
the second reason,
lie.
Huh?
So it's a bold-faced lie.
Well, it was a promise that he had made, but subsequent administrations, some of them continued it, and others were like, "The hell with that! Oh, shit, what?" Right? But the other thing too is they don't want them joining NATO, Ukraine joining NATO, because now let's say that Ukraine and Russia have issues. Well, in the NATO treaty, in I think Article 5, Section 1, I think it is. Naeem knows this better than I do. He knows foreign policy better than I do. I spoke to him this weekend. He basically, it says, hey, if any of your countries are in a war with a foe, with an enemy, with an adversary, every NATO ally must go and fight.
Yep.
So
Actually, NAFTA was the same.
If you've got Ukraine having an issue with Russia, that means that the US, the UK, France, Germany, Sweden, Scandinavia, Serbia, all of those people are now going to go and fight for Ukraine. And Iran, Iraq, Libya, Syria, all of them are going to go fight for Russia. So now you're going to come out with an all-out war. And even if it's a small issue like, we just had like a little disagreement over whose schlum was bigger. Well, that creates a much bigger issue, and they do not want Ukraine or any more NATO troops on Russia's border. So the last part to this, because I know Oscar's all bored and silent, like his channel. I'm just kidding.
No, I just like I said, I listen to your channel just for educational purposes because I'm not one for history.
So the last part is that Russia put out a peace agreement. Hey, we will pull out our troops, but we don't want you expanding anymore into NATO. We don't want you adding Ukraine into NATO. And we'll take away our military people, and you must hold elections. Same, a little bit kind of the Minsk agreement. Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, said, I guess we could sit down and talk. And guess who his bosses are? The United States. So the United States told him, no, you're not going to sit there, and you're not going to go, and you're not going to have that meeting because we're the Joe Biden administration, and we don't want peace. They don't want peace in the Middle East. That's why we're bombing 7 countries in the Middle East. So
Biden has time until he could find an opening.
Maybe, but they don't want peace. And now they're saying, well, now they're trying to get into the EU because peace talks with Russia ended. I wonder why, because you wouldn't agree to the most sensible agreement there was. And normally, it's people ask, oh, so Russia's the good guy. Putin's the good guy. It's not that he's the good guy. He's trying to protect his people. And
he feels like it's the only solution to do so.
Huh?
He feels like this is the only solution to do so.
Well, yeah. What else do you expect him to do? He's waited for 8 years for the bombing and the shelling and the murders to stop. He's waited for 8 years for them to let the rebels hold elections, and they haven't done it. They haven't stopped the bloodshed. So what else is he supposed to do? Continue waiting for another 2 years? So now it's a decade. And the next thing I'll say is, it's funny how we're banning Russia. Let's ban Russia. Let's ban Russia. Oh, but you can't call yourselves Russia. You can't. If this was America, oh my God. Can you imagine if FIFA said, all right, America, listen, you bombed so many countries. You can't call yourself America. You can't use your flag. You can't use your anthem. Oh my God, Fox News.
See, and this is why I mentioned the Treaty of Versailles a little bit, because I can see a bit of parallel again with what went on in the world at the end of World War I, when Germany was supposed to take full financial and personal responsibility for what happened. Now, with all this being blown out of proportion, I can see there being a situation where Russia's economy is ruined in the future simply because they were trying to protect themselves, for one. And for two, the NATO and the European Union could cause it to be where Russia has to take financial responsibility for everything.
Economy being ruined in the future. UPS.
Well, I know it's ruined now. I'm just saying, it can't get as bad as it was in Chile when you had inflation rates increasing by the triple digits every single day. I'm just saying, you have like Russia is going to be demonized in place of the Azov battalion.
Well, yeah. Well, because who's the Azov battalion backed by? Who is it?
And my point being is that I can see there being somewhat a Versailles-like situation where all the blame is placed upon Russia and all the financial responsibility is placed upon them.
Of course, yeah, you could see that. Hey, Russia, you did this, you did this, you did that. I don't think Putin's not that kind of person. He's a person that in 2012 had his back against the wall thanks to our Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, and that's why he came down on her. But I don't see them doing that. And I mean, me as a history person, I don't see it. But here's the thing. I'll get into this point that I told Oscar this morning when he called me. It's funny how the United States, we're bombing Libya, we're bombing Syria, we're giving aid to Saudi Arabia, who then is going and bombing Yemen and causing starvation, death, famine, economic destruction. We're giving Israel money so that they can go bomb Palestine, taking away their power, taking away their schools, causing slavery. We started a slave market because we went and did a regime change. Well, you want to talk about people who invaded. The CIA and Barack Obama invaded Libya because they said, oh, my God, Gaddafi and children. Oh, God. And then what happened? They said, oh, he's got sex slaves and he's got a market for slavery and he protects terrorists. Gaddafi actually killed terrorists. Gaddafi actually had his people doing better, but Gaddafi actually kind of started being a little bit of a socialist dictator, which was a little hilarious, as you know, right? Aaron, you're a history person. You kind of know that.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the United States do? They invade they invade Libya, and then they overthrow Gaddafi. And guess what they started? An open slave market. Oh, gee, I wonder. And now al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all those guys. Oh, who's in there now? Oh, yeah, they are. And then so Libya, Syria. We're helping Saudi Arabia bomb the crap out of Yemen for no reason. We're committing a genocide on Saudi Arabia's behalf. The UN has come out and said it's the worst human atrocity ever. We have we're bombing the Sudan. We're bombing some of the poorest people on the earth, in the planet. Somalia. Trump reversed that policy. Biden came in and said, folks, but he said we're going to continue bombing Somalia for no reason.
There's a common phrase that I see here, and it's kind of a religious thing. I'm not saying it from a religious standpoint, but it's something that's interesting to mention. And it says, before you flick the speck out of your brother's eye, you must first take the plank out of your own. And what that basically means is, it's funny how we're trying to make we are demonizing the rest of the world for doing things, but we're doing sort of the same things in other countries.
Yeah, and sort of is an understatement. Sort of is basically I don't even think it's the right word to use, because here's the thing: we're bombing all those countries I just mentioned. We're doing regime change wars regime change wars and
guys. I'm actually learning a lot, but I haven't had dinner yet, so 13. I'm gonna give it 13 minutes, and then we'll have to end the stream.
Dude, just eat on the stream.
How am I gonna eat on the stream?
You put your food on the stream and you eat it.
That's exactly. We're having such a good discussion. You're gonna cut it short, boy.
You slather your spaghetti sauce on the TV and you lick it all.
Your channel, your rules. That's why there's 0 views on your Real Madrid content. I'm helping you. Anyway.
Yeah, you're helping me get banned, because aren't you banned on your political channel, mister?
But that not banned, just censored for now because I talked about COVID. Now, if you really want me to get you banned, let me go right into COVID, and I'll make sure you're banned, Oscar. I know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, and I know how to remove you from the stream. Cut your mic.
Cut my mic. Oh, trust me, Oscar. They'll also ban you for me going into the comments and doing it. Biatch. Anyway, before
I can ban you from the chat from the chat too. You know that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's such good friends, it just warms the cockles of my heart.
Well, Oscar's boring, but anyway, so we're, like I said before, Oscar rudely interrupted. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Washington fans, swear to God. Anyway,
hey man, I brought you on to talk about the sports aspect, not to give me a history.
I'm getting there. I told you I had to.
Man, we give a lot of backlash on Naeem. but you're just as bad.
No, because I'm actually sticking on topic. Naeem, he talks about the war one day, then he's talking about the Wild Wild West, and the next thing you know, he's talking about belts, and then the next thing you know, he's talking about food, and then all of a sudden he goes way back, and you don't even know where he's at. At least with me, you know I'm talking about foreign policy. I'm going to get to the sports, but if you keep interrupting, we'll never get there.
Okay,
Right, Oscar? Anyway, no, you hurry up. So we're bombing all these places. We're doing all this illegal activity. We're doing CIA dirty wars everywhere. We're doing regime change, and nobody's banning America. Why don't we ban America? I know people are going to say, oh my God, this dude is Alva. He's not American for saying that. How dare he say, let's ban America?
America has implanted itself in a role that basically the rest of the world has agreed for America to be in, and that's being the entire world's mommy and daddy when they really shouldn't be.
And really shouldn't be, because look at all the crap I'm not even done. A lot of these countries are poor. What happened in Chile in the 1950s? We overthrew the democratically elected government. What happened in Iran in the 1950s? Same thing. What happened in Afghanistan in the 1970s? They had a socialist government. We overthrew them. You know who still has socialist governments? Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, the white people. Haiti. What did we do there? We went and overthrew the government. There's possible evidence that there was a possible coup when the president died in Haiti. So this last year. So all I'm saying is, we're going to ban a soccer team. We're going to ban hockey teams. We're going to ban everybody because
the Olympics.
The Olympics. Well, the Olympics, that's a different story there too. But before I get there, we're going to ban all these sports teams because of what their government's doing. Okay, so that means that the NFL should not be allowed to expand into Munich or Berlin. We shouldn't be going to Mexico. We shouldn't be the United States should not be allowed into the World Cup, should not be allowed in the Olympics, because we're the ones doing those dirty activities, the same things. Well, I think if you're a player and you play for Russia, you play for Ukraine, you play for the United States, Serbia, whoever the hell England, play. If you want to say, yeah, I believe in my country, or hey, I support it, fine, whatever. Don't be punishing the owners of these leagues for what their government does. They're not a part of the government. Don't punish these players. And then these teams that keep saying, I don't want to play against Russia because you guys are stupid because I'm censoring myself for Oscar's little heart. But you know, don't be such scared little shits.
Well, it is little. So
and here's the thing about that too is, again, as I've said before, other Russian players have migrated to other countries and are playing for these teams because they feel at home in these other places. The United States has removed 12 Russian diplomats from the Russian embassy. And people who are Russian or Russian citizens are getting punished for, like, there was an argument that was given a while back where it basically said you should take all the world leaders, stick them in a cage, and let them fight to the death instead of dragging all of us into it.
Yeah, I think that should be the case. I think, you know, and put Oscar there for some reason.
Well, you would win an Oscar then.
I have a question for you, Jason. So where do you stand on because he apparently doesn't run the day-to-day operations at all. But is what Roman Abramovich did, walking away from the data, is that enough for them to not freeze his assets? And is it fair for the media and anyone else to come after him because here's the thing, he hasn't been to England. Like, no one has heard from this guy. He doesn't even live in England at all. He's not involved. So all he does is just get a check. So that's another thing that gets me. If he maybe does things for the, you know, in the public eye, like does, you know, charities and things like that, which Chelsea, I don't know if it's because of him or not, but
I'm going to use Rush. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to take us with you?
But, like, you know, because he's, you know, in charities, I don't know if he's covering, you know, using that to cover things up, but do you think it's fair that he's being forced to sell his ownership, the ownership of the team, without knowing his side of the story, or him saying, because apparently him and Putin are, I wouldn't say good friends, but they're friends nonetheless.
Well, he's an oligarch. You have to understand that when you do business in China, you don't, that's why do you think China, they might have billionaires, but guess who that money goes to? The government. When you do, they're oligarchs. And Xi Jinping has them paying him. And when you do business in Russia, you're considered an oligarch. And you are kind of tight with Putin. Even if you're not his closest oligarch friend, you are a Russian oligarch who is in cahoots with the Russian government. However,
Guilt by association.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, however, I don't think it's the right thing. So let me get into sanctions real quick. So for those of you that don't know, on Oscar's channel, sanctions are basically where I can now freeze your assets. I can stop medicine from coming into your country. I can stop food from coming in. I can stop health aid from coming in. I can stop steel, metal, sheet metal. I can stop
Basically, goods and services.
Goods and services, and I can also freeze your assets. First off, I don't think the United States should have the power to freeze anybody's assets. And this guy, he's not a part. There's no evidence. They have not presented evidence that says, hey, he's a part of the activities, and he's right. So no, I don't think it's right. I think it's actually wrong. And if I was him, I would not do it. However, he doesn't have a choice because those above him would make him do it. I don't think it's right. I don't think his assets should be frozen, but the United States is doing it on purpose.
As of now,
We'll sanction all of your oligarchs. That way Russia can't make money. UPS is stopping services. Apple, Samsung, Google, Huawei. Well, Huawei is actually, but all of the big tech companies, they've stopped selling laptops and cell phones and tablets, and no packages are being delivered. No shipments are being delivered to Russia, crippling its economy. Yeah, because that's definitely the answer.
Russia's gonna be turned into a third world country by the end of this. And if you know throughout history what Russia is like, they have the harshest winters. They have the lowest population per square feet, so they have a lot of area to cover.
Well, they have
in terms of the boundaries of their country, and they have, like, even though they may have a high population, the amount of space they have as a country, they have a lot.
They have 11 time zones.
They have a lot. Yeah, they have a lot of territory to cover. And my point by mentioning this is that, first, about as far as the sanctions go, I think it could turn Russia into a third world country by the end of it.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. And I mean, look at the Battle of Stalingrad. See, this is where Hitler, I know I'm getting into World War II. Hitler was a smart son of a gun. However, he was too cocky and a little too confident. By 1943, when his battle started dying out and not doing well, why do you think he lost the Battle of Stalingrad? That winter is absolutely brutally harsh. It's brutal.
Well, he played his hand too. He played his hand too early. Anyways, they were in the Warsaw Pact. They were very close allies, but they knew at some point. Thank you. They knew at some point as allies that they were going to turn on each other, and Hitler just did it to Stalin before Stalin did it to him.
Basically.
Yeah, and I mean, so here's the thing. Number one, don't ban the players. And to all the American players here, shut the F up, because you guys are in a country that does dirty wars everywhere, regime change wars, and invades other countries, and nobody says jack about it. I'm trying not to curse here.
Because the parents are blameless.
Well, because they're blameless. Why? Because they're America. Because then America is going to get its little heart broken.
America is the mom and dad of the entire world.
And they shouldn't be. They should. What happens with all these empires? Remember what happened to Britain? What happened to the Romans? What happened to the Aztecs? What happened to all of these? They got too big because they started invading other countries. They started implementing their views in other countries, and boom, they exploded. They couldn't be civilized anymore. That's what happens to all the big empires. America's due for that.
You can still see evidence of the way Spanish countries in early days used to invade other countries, because they would keep the entire government the same and just remove the head and put their guy in.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. But the United States, like when they put Prime Minister Maliki in Iraq in 2007, 2008, Well, a lot of the government was removed too. So it really depends on the country. It depends on the circumstance. Because a lot of the government in Iraq was Saddam. You know, I mean, he left since the 60s to 70s. So, I mean, come on, 30 years and you're going to not be for Saddam? You'll die if you do that. But again, don't ban the players. They have nothing to effing do with this. Don't ban the own. That's like if I told Robert Kraft, well, you know, you're kind of friends with Joe Biden, so we're going to ban you and you're going to have to sell off your assets and we're going to freeze your assets. Do you know how crazy our corporations would go if that ever happened?
Basically.
That's what's happening. And all these players, like I said, shut the F up, play your damn sport. Do you think that the men of the Russian soccer team are all rich enough to be oligarchs? No. And they're not in the day-to-day of Vladimir Putin's actions. So all these teams like Poland said, I don't want to play against them. Shut the f up and play your game. How
Do
about
your job.
this? How
Do
about
your
this?
job.
Yeah, do your job.
Yeah, because that's a form of living. Like, to us, to fans, it's a game. But to the players, that's their livelihood.
And
Can
that's
you
why
imagine if
that's why I've gone into the idea of questioning for the longest time. If you have an athletic platform, are like, should you be speaking out against what you perceive to be social justice issues?
Well, social justice though is different from world global geopolitical issues. That's where you have to make the contradiction or the cut the slice a little bit. Is you have to. It would be different if Colin Kaepernick was protesting the wars of the United States. He should, but right, if I was there, that's what I would protest. But he's not. He's protesting an issue going on here domestically. Sure, it's kind of a domestic issue, but it involves everyone in the globe. And you know, I just you know, this whole everyone. And so if you, like I said, if you want to stand up and say things, go ahead. You don't. That's your platform. I don't care. And to the fans, stop pressuring them. But if you are Poland or anyone else, how about you show Russia who's boss and you beat their asses and you say, see, we're better than Russia. Let's all unite. Oh, yeah, we beat Russia. Or are you scared that Russia's going to beat your ass and they're going to go on and play the Czechs or the Swedish?
See, they're looking at it.
What you're afraid of.
They're looking at it as if the right to play is a privilege.
Either way, funny enough, Russia isn't a really good soccer team in general. So
right. So then why not have Poland go in and say, all right, fine, we'll play them, but we'll beat their asses because they're also not great.
Now,
my lineup this way.
What about your thoughts on them picking the neutral? Or do you disagree or agree with them picking a neutral?
Should it still
venue?
be in Moscow? Should the game still be in Moscow?
Yeah.
Because the UEFA wants to put it because of what's going on there, and so the proposed safety or unsafety. What they want to do is they want to have the game between Russia and Poland take place in a neutral location.
I don't know where you can find a neutral location because you
Logistically.
Where are you going to put it? You're going to put it in some other country that's on the side of the United States.
What about Switzerland? Switzerland's neutral.
Yeah, but they hold all the world's money.
But here's the other thing to think about too, though. If Switzerland were to say, "Yeah, you guys can hold your game here," that may be a message to the rest of the world saying they're taking a stand on one side or the other.
Exactly.
Oh, true.
Exactly. Then they're not neutral. So you know Switzerland's gonna be like, "F you, we're neutral, bitch." But
they're gonna be too scared to do it.
Probably because they're known as neutral. But they hold everybody's money. That's the other problem they have, and that everybody else has. Like, God damn it, they hold all of our money. That Swiss cheese.
Well,
there's holes.
We got a history lesson from Professor Jason Alamillo. Everyone.
That's right. Subscribe to the channel.
If you want more history lessons and politic conversation, go to his Get the Memo podcast. Jason, when are you going to get your rights back?
As soon as black people are equal. No, because they should be equal.
As soon as blind people are equal.
As soon as blind people are equal. Okay, so I'm never going to have a channel. No, next month, next month on the 4th, I should be able to start posting. But go over to my podcast. I've got episodes coming up.
Send me the link to that because
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll do a podcast tonight explaining all of this. And by the way, you know why the United States is making a big deal about this?
It keeps the pressure off Biden.
No, yes, correct. But it's also the gas pipeline. Oops. Of course, fossil fuels. But I would hold it in a neutral location. So I would and I wouldn't. I would because it's like, hey, you can avoid anything happening. But B, I don't know. I would host it in Moscow just because you're not going to go anywhere in the world that's not neutral. Because if you go to Iran, they're going to side with Russia. You can go to Syria, they're going to side with Russia. You go to China, they're going to side with Russia. If you go to Sweden, they're going to side with the U.S. You go to Scandinavia, you're going to side with the U.S. You go to England, they're going to side with the U.S. You can't go anywhere that's neutral. However, for the sake of the war, yeah, I would hold it in another place.
The Cold War,
you know what?
too.
Put their asses in the Arctic and fight it out there.
The Cold War, Part 2.
Well, yeah, this is kind of what it is. And
with no
my
arms.
thoughts, I'm just disappointed and sad to see that they're now going to the sports world and saying, you can't play your game because your government is doing this.
The thing of it is, this is not. It's not a new thing. I mean, again,
it isn't.
I made this argument about Muhammad Ali not wanting to be drafted in the war.
Yeah,
so he got stripped of his world title because of it.
But the Supreme Court gave it back in the 70s. Was it 67 or the 70s? It was 70s. They gave it back, which is why he was allowed to fight.
Called History of Sports.
But that's why he was allowed to fight. What's his name? His first fight back, not Joe Frazier.
Before we continue, y'all, shout out to Artie Revs. You're a little late, but he says, "What's up, my guys? What's up, man?
What up, man?
I know that you drop in to listen to Washington content. Yeah, we had that early on.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to get too political, but
we had to address the. No, you're good, Jason. I was just giving you a hard time. Is that I get bored very when it comes to politics or history. I don't know why. When I was in class and I did history, I just did enough to pass. Like you can find the fun professor, and I'll be like, whatever.
In my bachelor's degree program, it went into multiple disciplines. So I've taken courses on environmental policy. I've taken law courses. I've taken history of World War II courses. I've taken Civil War courses. I've taken world religion courses. I've taken courses on.
Bro, I need to have you on my channel then.
Your political one, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
up to you, but
my point being is that it's important to have different perspectives in this. We can disagree in a respectful way, or we could agree in a respectful way. Just because people are on different sides of an argument doesn't necessarily mean that it has to mean.
I mean, at least I warned Jason earlier today because he texted me. He was like, "Dude, I'm gonna try to contain myself," but you contain yourself surprisingly, Jason. I was expecting you to.
All day today, I was screaming.
There's a distinction made between anger and passion. If you're passionate about a subject, it may look a lot more angry about it or not.
Aaron, check out Jason's political channel and you'll see what I mean.
It's a bunch of screaming, sometimes cursing, but I do scream all the time on the podcast.
Yes, he like his first few videos were all nice and everything. That like he was a very nice guy. But then like after I think his fifth video, all you hear is him screaming about policies and things like that. So
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna leave you with this, and I think this is something to think about. We are giving Russia the right to not play or to play. There's an article by a man named Ivan Illich that says "to hell with good intentions," and it's basically, are you having good intentions because you have ulterior motives, or do you genuinely have good intentions? If you're giving something to somebody, are you giving based on your value or theirs?
Yeah. No, and I think too on this, I mean, we can all say that, oh my God, Russia's the problem and this and that and this and we can complain and say, well, They shouldn't be invading. They shouldn't be doing that. Well, the United States shouldn't be doing all the things I mentioned and also the things in Ukraine that I mentioned. But aside from the foreign policy aspect, I don't think players should be banned. They
didn't do it.
They didn't do it. They're not the ones in the peace negotiations. They're not. Those players probably don't even know what NATO is. Half of them don't even know what the hell's even going on. And you're banning them from making a living. That'd be like the United States being in war and then like, I don't know, Russia saying, all right.
Look at the Chinese Exclusion Acts.
Yeah, where we decided, hey, but that was not because China did anything. It was because a bunch of white workers that didn't want to do the jobs the Chinese did anyway.
Well, but the point is it's people who are bystanders paying the price for things that other people do.
Well, yeah, it's the anti anything other than white crowd playing their politicians for puppets. And what happened when the Chinese Exclusion Act was passed? You think those white collar, white bread, chicken shit, workers went out and did all the work? There's no way they did. Well, it was this immigration thing. Like, we don't want them bringing their children. Ooh, Panda Express, right? Like the U.S. economy was suffering because, well, I'm a white dude. I'm not doing that shit. Get the Chinese to do it. Oh, now you want the Chinese to do it. Same policies we have today. I don't want Mexicans here. Who picked your lettuce that's in your Taco Bell burrito or in your burger? Huh? Who did it? That Mexican working in the fields that you won't work in.
You should look up this article by a macroeconomics professor from George Mason University. His name is Rastisi, and he has this article called "The Pencil." And the reason why I'm mentioning it is a pencil is something that is very simple, but if you look at every single piece of it, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. I'm going to end this by saying too that it goes both ways because Irishmen were the first slavers to begin with. So it's an interesting thing to look back through history and see that regardless of whether it's white, black, really any nationality, there has always been a theme of
it's whoever has the power.
Yeah, alienating.
Whoever wants to have the power. Exactly. And unfortunately, we're seeing this. We're seeing owners being stripped of their teams just because their government is doing something. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with how any of this is going. And I don't agree with slavery. I don't agree with any of that. And I also don't agree with Washington football team or the Commanders existing.
Hold on a second.
I know I cough at the sight of Washington players.
No, it's just I got a fur ball in my mouth. Oh.
So
how'd you get a fur ball in your mouth?
I don't know. Don't ask.
He's got other things in his mouth.
I don't want y'all to think this is me saying something bad or anything, but I will tell you, when I was in college, I took a course called Social Justice and Consciousness, and I felt like that entire semester was basically me being bashed as me being labeled as a sexist for being male and a racist for being white.
Jason, didn't you have that happen to you on your sports channel or one of your channels? I can't remember what it was.
It was the sports channel. It was so I had Duncan and Oscar on one day. It was probably the second or third stream I had our guy Duncan on. You met him, Aaron.
Yeah, he's cool.
How'd you like him? Yeah, he's cool. He's not watching, so you can say whatever you want. No, but he's an ass. Anyway, but
that's what
I basically there was this girl who had DM'd me on Twitter saying, "Oh my God, you're sexist because all you have is guys on your podcast. You don't have any women, and it's a shame that you don't want to have women on, and you don't bring women on." And I had that discussion on the stream. I was like, guys, it's not that I don't have women. I would love to have. You're a man, you're a woman, you're a transgender, you're gay, you're lesbian, you're queer, you're pansexual, you're transsexual, whatever you are. I would love to have you on, right? And if it's just, as Oscar knows, it's so hard to find a host, a co-host. I mean, it's even more difficult to find future guests.
I'm a miracle baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, because I didn't know
Yeah.
how. I really didn't know how it was gonna go. I was like, all right, you're gonna be in there for episode 2. Let's see how it goes. And then you actually surprised me. I was like, oh yeah, I think.
I was like, damn.
Don't even joke. I kick ass, man.
You kick ass and you kick
And
balls.
even when it came to the Europeans, like you don't know, like Jason and you're, no, it's because I was. Well, Jason was, he's Hispanic himself, but I don't like. He doesn't
we
keep
love Real
up.
Madrid in my family.
I
Yeah,
even
like
took a whole
but
course.
he doesn't keep up with European soccer like I do.
No,
Like,
but
I know,
we love Real Madrid in my. I have actually an old Real Madrid jersey from like 12 years
Dude,
ago.
I could do a whole podcast
I
on
have
like
a quote.
stories I've done. Like I took a whole course called Geography of Latin America.
Hey Aaron, I used to have a quote and I used to have it as my background.
Oh, nice.
Oh boy.
But alrighty, y'all. That was Golden Truth episode 4.
Washington having a stadium? No way. Can you guys
Hey.
play in the Arctic so that nobody watches?
People will still find a way to watch satellite
I
TV.
mean, if you guys if they get the stadium here in Hoodbridge.
Why would they play in Virginia? Then it's not Washington, it's the Virginia Commanders.
Look, I've made this argument time and time again. Loudoun County needs a stimulated economy, and that's the only way to get it right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jason doesn't know what what Loudoun County is because he lives in the West Coast
So
and in a different state and city.
imagine a place that has a lot of homes but not a lot of businesses.
Yeah, that is Loudoun County actually.
Well, and that's the point I'm making. I've been all over.
Kind of like Pahrump here in
I've
Nevada.
I've
Pahrump.
spent 27 years of my life in Virginia. If anybody can tell you, I can. And I'm going to tell you right now that a lot of homes and not a lot of businesses is not a way to go. Just like Danville, all they have is factories and gas stations. You need diversity of businesses. And in the case of Loudoun County, the only way to do that is to bring in the stadium. That's why you shouldn't have it in Hoodbridge and you shouldn't have it in Dumfries.
By the way, Jason,
it
it is how it it's pronounced Dumfries, but it's actually spelled out Dumfries.
It's Dumfries.
I like fries.
What about
I don't know.
fries?
I don't know if you like them dumb though.
What about freedom fries?
You know, in the Iraq War, when I know I'm getting into history, but
Iraq.
My teacher, my history 101 teacher was saying how in 2005, and I actually kind of do remember it because I have a weird way that I can remember when I was 3. From when
I think I have that too, by the way.
Yeah, I guess it's the blind bitches.
It's so
But,
round. It's so random too.
It is.
Except for
But
mine.
my teacher said that the France was opposed to the Iraq War. So what the United States did was like, welcome to McDonald's, how can I help you? Yeah, can I have a cheeseburger and some Liberty fries? Because they didn't want to call them French fries because the media lied to the U.S. for 2 years. So the public was all behind the war. And,
Well,
because
you know,
the media-
Paris, France, in and of itself is a lie.
Oh,
You think that its chief industry is actually art, but it's actually banking.
it is. It is, which is hilarious. But you really think you're going to attract people? We have the bank.
We have as the bankers.
We have as a bank. Nous sommes les banques.
Y'all should like.
Je
There's
veux
a
la
documentary
base
you can
de
watch on the History Channel, and it's about the Medici family and how they started off as bankers in Florence, but ended up taking over the entire Italian government.
And they hung Mussolini. My thoughts on. Oh, by the way, Russell Wilson is less likely to go to Washington.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Not happening.
Nope. Neither Carson Wentz. I don't see
There's
that
a better
happening.
chance of me playing for Washington.
Yeah, and you have a better chance of Oscar not liking Washington than Carson Wentz going to Washington.
The only person that may go is
Jason, because
Gadget
here's the thing, you like to talk crap on my channel, yet who's the guy who's not a Cowboys fan, but yet got more views than a Cowboys fan's video? Oh yeah, that's right.
I did it late.
Excuses.
You know what else is an excuse? Your channel. You know what else is a bad excuse?
But then, what does that
Your
say about
commander.
you that you want
Is
to
that
come on?
is that why is that why you got copyright striked?
That's just because I used one clip.
Jason,
you want me to get you banned, Oscar? Here,
No,
let me
Jason,
go right into
Jason,
COVID real quick.
Jason.
Anyway,
Okay, what does this say about you? You're bashing Oscar's channel, yet you're the one who decided to come on it.
basically,
He needs me. That's why. You think Oscar would be able to talk politics by himself? He'd be like Naeem No
really.
Nuts.
I mean,
Such friends, man. I love it. I'm just entertained by you two.
You should see us when we're making fun of Naeem. Oh,
Aaron, check out the 4-hour Super Bowl live stream.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just check it out while you're taking it.
And then check out the last 2 minutes. Like
Last
he
2
literally,
He's literally like, Jason, say a bunch of Naeem jokes. I'm like, eat a chip in salsa. Naeem is this. Naeem is that. Naeem is this. Naeem is that. I mean,
Bro,
and throughout the whole live stream,
I wish I could go on a Twitch stream and play a game, and then have you guys join me in there, and we just like talk shit the whole time.
we could actually.
I
We
mean,
could-
I think if you can Twitch, you can connect it to StreamYard,
Yeah, you can.
and then you just share the StreamYard link.
Yeah.
I have to go through through the web browser on my Xbox.
No,
Yeah,
I think you can set it up on your. I think you can set it up on your laptop, and then I think you just have to have your Xbox login credentials or something.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be so cool. I would love to do that. And are you League of Legends?
I have not played it, but I've heard good things.
I played it a couple times, and I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. I wish I wasn't that blind.
I'm such a big kid at heart. Like I've been playing the Lego Harry Potter series just because it's fun.
Oh, dude, Harry Potter's my favorite book of all fucking time.
I've read that whole series like twice
Me too.
on audio though, because I'm a slow print reader.
I've read it, with my fingers because then I'll
Dang, Jason, that's dedication right there.
Yeah, I love Harry
God,
Potter.
Dang.
You want to know what I've done?
Like those volumes are huge.
With large print, I've memorized 1,114 Bible verses in 5 days.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you are Southern.
If I was, I mean, I would look at.
He used to live in the southern parts of Virginia.
Yeah, what was your first clue?
You're trying to lie, will you?
He cannot confirm or deny this theory.
Oh God.
But
Anyway,
yeah, no, I love Harry Potter. That duel with Voldemort and Dumbledore. I mean, it was pointless because they. I don't know if Voldemort knew it, but Dumbledore knew. Well, he can't really kill me because I'm not going to let him. I can't kill Voldemort.
You should look up The Cursed Child because that was a Broadway play that they did. That
it's also a book.
it is. But more to the point was I'm on year 5. I haven't finished it yet, but I want to I'll try to send the link to my channel, to my Twitch channel, to Oscar. That way, if anybody wants to watch me play the rest of that game.
yeah, I don't.
Dude, let me
I
join.
remember I think I tried Twitch, doing Twitch, and I guess because fun fact, Jason, the Yeti Blue does not work well with PS4.
I have my Xbox One, and the only reason I have that is because it was given to me as a gift. But because I'm poor. But I have it.
You're PWT, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, I am. And I hold that distinction with pride. I hold that distinction with gross pride.
Hold it with your, you know what?
Anyway,
Only you would know what.
wow, legendary episode
Smokey.
4.
Let me see it then.
Jason.
Not here.
Where?
All right.
We're gonna make it awkward for Oscar.
I want to say a lot of things.
All right. Legendary episode 4, y'all.
Thanks for having me, Oscar.
Yeah, Jason. Hey, since we're doing free agency frenzy, even though you have not covered Dallas.
No, because here's one of the reasons is that what was it? Last week, Friday, there were a couple guys on the board that I had seen from Jeff Passan had posted and a few others had, and then they all were swiped out on Monday. None of the guys that were there last week, except for maybe 2, are there, and I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting time because the minute I post, boom, new change.
Yeah,
and then I have to do another video.
We should do a fantasy football league next year.
You know what's funny
You
is
did-
I've never
do you-
understood how it works.
So
Oh,
you
so
could draft your
so
offensive
you
players
have-
normally,
Yeah,
but
go
you have
ahead.
to draft your defense as a whole.
Oh,
So yeah, so you're basically an owner of a team, and then all you do is you have to pick the top players that that are on the board, and then you don't pick just your starters. You pick bench players in the case that the starters are hurt, and then you just try to sub in your best team possible.
Like based on the matchups and who you think is going to have the best statistics.
Best game, yeah, best stats.
I feel like it could increase my NFL knowledge.
Well, yeah, honestly, it could.
Yeah, it actually does. It actually increased mine a little bit.
When I was first learning about the NFL, I actually wrote down the names of all the teams and the divisions they were in, and I kept track of every single win or loss that I heard about through an entire season.
So Washington, well, you had a lot of losses there. Oh,
Oh
sorry.
yeah, I mean it was okay. Well, actually, Dallas did too that year. That was like their 1-15 year.
Oh yeah, I think there were
That was when Kellen Moore was. Or no, it was shoot, what was it? John Kitna was their
John
quarterback.
Kitna. And wasn't Mike Nolan was in charge last 2 years ago now.
Yeah, but alrighty, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Oscar. Really
listen,
appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed talking with you, man. I was surprised I was able to keep up with you as much as I did.
No, I was like, oh, I know he's not a politics guy, but I figured we'd get along. By the way, I think you
learned he is a politics guy.
yeah. He's also a guy.
Actually,
sorry,
I'm a
Naeem.
guy.
Yeah, sorry, Naeem. Oh, but we I might be doing a live stream tomorrow. Aaron, I will contact you.
Yeah, I'm up.
Oh, by the way, Jason, did you know I got a baseball notification today? I don't know if you saw it.
Did they come to an agreement today? The lockout?
No,
Yeah, it was something about that.
no, they didn't come to an agreement, which is why they had to cancel some regular season games.
Well,
Yeah,
the season's supposed to be shortened because they said they weren't going to be rescheduled.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, and that's what we're gonna talk about. Hopefully tomorrow. If Duncan doesn't come on, I'll be talking
I need you
baseball.
to educate me on the divisions and conferences because I do want to get more into baseball.
Okay.
But the reason why I don't get into NHL is it kind of pisses me off how teams can change divisions and conferences so willy-nilly.
Yeah, whereas in the MLB, it's a little more nuanced.
It's a little more like, foundational. Like the NFL, it's easy to follow because teams don't change conferences, they don't change divisions. I'm hoping that I can find another sport that's just like that would run during
MLB is pretty
offseason.
much like that. They don't really change that often. The last time that happened that I remember was the new Guardians, who were the Indians, but they're the Guardians.
I remember you didn't know that, and
I didn't know that,
Me not being a baseball person knew that. I was
So
like,
I will tell you guys a story. I did go to a minor league baseball game, and then a home run ball bounced off my forearm.
Yeah, those are scary because you're so close to the field that even
You
if
can
you're
get
like on the
hit.
top row, you're
So I could have measured the trajectory for that ball, and I'm glad it hit me in the forearm because if I had leaned forward to try to catch it, I'm pretty sure it would have beamed me in the face.
Dude, how did you not lose your arm? That thing's going like 100 miles an hour.
I was surprised myself. It bounced off my arm and then it flew and went like 2 rows down.
And then it hit someone in the balls.
Well, they didn't have any, so I was kidding.
Oh, Naeem was there?
Oh!
And we've reached an impasse.
Oh!
Yo, he did it without even trying to.
Naeem Caves without even trying.
Finally, he was able to do something effortlessly.
Anyway,
all
all right, y'all.
Oscar.
Make sure you guys subscribe. Yeah,
So real quick, I was telling you about the trip I want to do, right?
yeah.
In August. So I told Naeem, I said, yeah, we can do it if your mom lets you. Gives you
By the
permission.
way, what time is your live stream supposed to be tomorrow?
I want to do it early.
So I'm getting a cavity filled at 11:15 in the morning.
Oh,
So
dude,
that's
that's 8 in
that's-
the morning my time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jason's not up by that time unless I have a new Mac and I have to rub it in his face.
Return.
Oh,
of
you
Mac-
son of a fucking bitch. Oh, you. At least I still have the better mic.
Who's Mike and why is he better than you?
Oh, well, it's better than Oscar because everything's better than Oscar. And number 2, it's the Audio Technica AT 2020. The Yeti Blue
Are
is
you
nice,
sponsored
but
then? I'm just kidding.
I would sponsor the shit out of them if they would,
Oh, I love this
if they sponsored me, I would. This video is sponsored by Audio Technica AT 2020. By the way, it's better than Oscar. But anyway, let me tell you about this microphone because it's
Okay, nice job, auctioneer mouth.
Anyway, make sure you guys
right.
sub Jason's politics channel and sports channel. Dang, I have to put more links in the description.
I had to do that when you guys joined last minute.
Yeah,
last week.
That's true. Make sure you guys check out Faxman's musings.
Yeah.
When are you gonna upload your video or your segment?
So I was gonna do the Cirque d'Italia review, but I'm changing it to talk a little bit about the Ukraine to be a bit more serious this time.
Dude, I'll join you.
I gotta figure out how through Anchor to get somebody to join.
Oh, I can tell you off stream. I figured that out. But
Okay.
you're not gonna like it. You both aren't gonna like it.
We'll figure out a way, Aaron. Just like I figured out a way into your heart.
But
oh, how sweet!
All right, y'all. We're out of here.
I had sexual relations with that woman.
I mean, I did, but I'm not gonna tell you.